Hi everybody, it's Shirley Smith with Caldwell Banker West, and we're cruising around Coronado today. And I have a lovely surprise. We have a major broadcasting enterprise here right in the heart of Coronado. A new business, only a year young, with a husband and wife team running it, Brett Davis and Sarah Morga. And they are wonderful the way they work together, very inspiring. They have IQ Podcasts, which is reaching out globally. The local paper you've probably seen that's called Beyond the Bridge that we get here in Coronado, and an IQ Podcast magazine. Let's go inside and meet them and find out about this wonderful crown jewel right here in our great city. Well, now I'm here inside with a husband and wife team, the two owners of these three dynamic new business ventures, and actually more to come. We're going to meet with Brett Davis and Sarah Morga, and they're husband and wife and a great team. So hi, welcome to Cruisin' Around Coronado.
Hi,
how are you doing?
Thank you.
Good.
Nice to finally meet you.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you too. And my gosh, I'm just so excited with the concept of multiple business ventures happening here in our community, but yet you go beyond the community. You're in the. I love the idea of storytelling, and you're going to tell us a bit about that. And I also love the idea that you take what's in our community here, and you tell stories out about our community, beyond the community, but then you take stories outside the community and bring them into our community. So you're really a bridge. You know,
Right.
bridging the gap, bridging people, connecting the world through communication. I love your motto, your mission statement. That's
Right.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good. And you do it with a local newspaper. I'm sure many of you have seen Beyond the Bridge. Our current issue has Mary here, one of the owners of our beloved Clayton's and Clayton's Bistro.
And last month it was Nikki Rotten
Yeah, Nikki Rotten's last month had a grand reopening.
with Tim Allen.
Yeah, yeah. And then even Brett's featured on one talking about Everyday Heroes, a project I want to hear more about.
So, you know, what's interesting is Sarah has done a wonderful job on IQ Podcast, the magazine, of course. And we had got the gentleman that was the publisher of these paper, what are they
Beyond the
called?
Bridge.
Beyond the Bridge, and there was a bunch
Local
of other
Umbrella.
ones, local
Mhm.
umbrella media, came to us through a mutual friend and had said that, he said, I really love your magazine. Would you ever go to something more like a newspaper? I says, well, let's talk more. It started like that. And I said, I like the fact, I said, what's available? Remember, he comes here and we're doing everything here. I says, is Coronado available? He says, well, nobody's asked me about Coronado. I says, well, that would be the only one I'd be interested in.
And you just had that feeling.
Well, I think the thing for me is, we talked about this earlier, you have to feel what you're connected to
Yes.
and what you're doing. And Coronado's such a lovely community, and I love the energy here. That's why our office is here.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah and I picked this location because we figured if we're going to be working, wouldn't it be nice to love the environment that you're working in and not feel the stress and be able to create more because there's no stress, and
Yes.
and we love the community and what's going on here, so it made sense to us to do that. And so Brad Weber and Sarah and I decided to work together on Beyond the Bridge, and that's all came together.
Oh, how fantastic.
But he came to us, and that's all it. But I didn't know when he came to us, he didn't even know it was going to be Coronado. It
Yeah.
just kind of happened that way.
Yeah.
Right,
And it came
right.
because you had a feeling, you had a love for this community. And I think a lot of our residents here, and certainly tourists that come to visit year after year, we all love Coronado
Sure.
and have that feeling about it. We talk about living the dream and the specialness.
That's
and
right.
that you kind of come over that bridge and it's like everything slows down to 25 miles an hour and we can exhale a bit and ride our beach cruisers and walk and
Well, not during tourist time, of
no,
course.
not as much, but it's still
It's not too
okay.
bad.
it's still okay.
It's not bad. I personally, I think it might be an age thing. I've gotten to the point where I like simplicity and I like more quiet. And I think it's just because I feel I got a lot on my mind. But Sarah takes a lot of the responsibilities on what's going on, and the reason a lot of the success is I got to give her the credit.
Thank you.
She's very, very creative producer of IQ Podcast. So we want to talk about that. I was interviewed on IQ Podcast.
What's IQ sometimes?
IQ too. IQ Podcast. And I didn't get to meet you. You were in Nantucket ushering your daughter to a great job as a pastry chef over there. So wonderful. I'm going to hear more about that.
Wait till you taste the pastries.
I can't wait. So I had an interview here on Marina Teal's show, and she interviewed me, and I couldn't wait to hear all about it. So tell us about IQ Podcast, how that came about, and what's your vision? What's your vision here? I was inspired when I heard your vision. I see the whole world there on the wall, right here in little beautiful Coronado by the ferry landing.
Right.
So Sarah, tell us the vision.
Well, with IQ Podcast, actually it was his vision. Brett has a radio show
Okay.
on KCBQ, The Answer San Diego.
Okay, what is that on?
That's on Saturday nights at 11.
Okay.
It's
For the
actually
insomniacs.
The Answer is San Diego?
Right.
The Answer.
I love it.
Mhm.
I
So it's
love it.
FM 96.1 AM, that's North County, and then AM 1170 San Diego. So
1170
Coronado.
AM, 96.1?
Yep, in
FM
North County.
North County.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
Saturday night at 11 if you're up and about.
So
Check in with Brett.
radio was always something that resonated with me.
Mhm.
Growing up, my grandmother raising me, we listened to the radio every night.
Yeah.
Yeah, we became really good listeners, and we would debate each other on certain topics and things. But I didn't realize that I'd end up getting that call to have my own show one day. Yeah, and so it started with ESPN, and then it ended up doing very well, and we were happy doing it. We worked really well with the radio station, and then KCBQ came knocking, and it was just like a family. We got there, and it was about 20 people in a room with notepads and questions, and what do you want to do? And everything we talked to them about what we wanted to do, except the magazine and the podcast, it was all pretty much about storytelling
right.
Yeah.
and honoring
Right.
people, instead of degrading them, and we're looking for things we have in common, not what we don't have in common.
Well,
I love
the
that.
news, there's so much
Yeah.
negativity and negative news all the time that we wanted to show, and we've always wanted to show just to be positive and to lift people up.
The good news.
The good news, that's
Yeah.
right, the
What's
good
the good news?
That
Yeah.
nobody's supposedly is listening to, but I think they want it.
Yeah, and we honor heroes on our show, and we've been honoring heroes for since the show started, 4 years?
Well, before, as soon
years
as
ago,
ESPN
but even
started,
before.
I mean, ESPN, we were doing it.
But you're honoring the everyday heroes.
The
not
everyday
necessarily-
heroes.
Not the celebrities. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, the celebrities are really not the heroes, because they stopped working during the pandemic, and everything's continued to function as much as it could. But can you imagine if our water department stopped working? Can you imagine if our garbage people stopped picking up the garbage?
Yeah.
The
Can you
janitors.
the janitors. Can you imagine, and the nurses.
The teachers, the teachers.
Teachers.
Which
So
we
all
had
these-
a great event.
But all these things are things that are so, and because you've lived in another country,
Yes.
lived in Australia, and it's a lovely place, I'm sure. But can you imagine? Those are things that we in this country, I think we take for granted.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, we do. And
We turn that faucet on. We don't realize that somebody helped make that happen,
yes.
or that meal that comes to us,
That's right.
or these are things that we're so caught up in our own lives that we've really lost sight of what value is on
Yeah.
every second and every moment of the things that we get.
Well, as horrible and as scary and hard as COVID has been for all of us, and scary taking lives and a horrible thing, like everything, I always say there's goodness to it. There's a silver lining. And in this broadcast, I've been interviewing several of the business owners, saying, okay, what's the silver lining? And it's all about the stories that people have to tell, and what they've all done behind the scenes, and how their staff has worked. And what you're saying here, it's making us realize. So that's a wake-up call, and I have an idea that it's going to be one of those things. Maybe another year down the road, we all look back and go, that was a really good thing that happened. All these,
I'll be honest, I don't.
but I don't want to do it again.
Right. Well, I'll be honest. What you focus on, you become.
Yes, I agree.
And so we could focus on the glass being half full or half empty. Everybody's got their choice. But I would rather look at the positive things that came out of this. We started exactly in March of when COVID started.
Yes.
Yep, right when it hit.
And we
Right
have
when it hit.
increased with everything that we're doing. It's God's blessing. We've increased on average 1,500%.
Yes. Wonderful.
We've just done a straight beeline, straight up. And it's not anything, I've worked hard, and we both have worked hard our whole lives. This whole thing has been more effortless, and we're working harder than we ever have probably. But we're seeing more people being affected in good ways, and I think that's why we've been able to grow the way we have.
Yeah, it's just coming together.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we work hard, but it's effortless. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, it's that when you get in alignment, when you work, it's your attitude and it's your heart and your spirit, what you feel. But when you get in alignment, right, with, you know, that positive attitude and what do we want to create, not, you know, how bad this is.
Right.
The mystery, the spirituality, whatever you want to call it, that just comes in with the hard work. And we become those co-creators with the mystery part, the unseen, which is actually sometimes it's tangible as the seen. It has been for me most of my life, but
that's true.
It's the same thing. And all the businesses, I mean, I'm a realtor and I'm a small business person for myself. The learning curves, the pivoting, but I work for a wonderful company, Coldwell Banker West, and we have had Zoom calls every single morning. We were doing 7 days a week.
Wow.
The owners of our company, the leadership in our company, they are there for you. If I can talk to the owner of my company anytime, he'll call me back. It's just wonderful. And you just saw all this pulling together of everybody saying, okay, we're gonna really support everybody. And boy, does that make the difference. It's so much beyond making money.
Right.
It's service. It's coming from service and making a difference, and it makes a difference.
Right.
It really makes a difference. So I get it, and the other businesses I've talked to. So tell us what your goal is, connecting the world through communication. What is that goal for IQ Podcasts?
So the goal for our IQ podcast is, of course, to continue to, by the way, I said this earlier, we're not in media, we're in the business of helping people.
Good. Love it.
We're being used as a tool by God. That's just the bottom line. I'm not afraid or ashamed to mention that.
Good.
Because
Love
it's not anything I don't think we're doing. We're just doing His work, and He's putting us to work to do what we need to do to help people. And then we are in media, of course, but the first part of the business is we take care of trying to help as many people as we can. Yeah. Telling stories.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, when we make decisions, we always pray on it.
Yes.
We always pray on it.
We do too.
Before we do anything, before we make any decisions, before we pray on it, and
I
blessings
understand.
come, and
having that faith and having that prayer, and it can be from any walk of life. It's people that aren't religious, they can be spiritual, it can be a positive intent and checking into that internal knowing.
Absolutely.
To people that practice beautiful religions and find their strength, and their connection to God there.
Yes.
That's really good. I love that. And I pretty much agree. And it's the same thing like I was talking about for me in my business. They talk about, real estate. Oh, you people are selling, all you want to do is sell. And it's no, we don't sell, we serve.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
That's right.
Yeah, but we don't. Well, selling to me is just taking somebody's got a need or a want,
Right.
and helping them match up to the thing that's going to make them the happiest.
I mean,
That's right.
But everything
That's
in life and in business is being sold in some way or another.
It's connection. It's connection.
Right, and so when you go to buy a hamburger, I mean, they're basically selling you a hamburger, and you're buying it.
Yeah.
So I don't look at when somebody says that, I don't understand if they're missing the boat on the fact that they're buying things all the time.
Yeah. I know.
And you have to make a living
And
just
there's
like
a
anybody
need.
else.
Everyone does, of course. So yeah, but I think when you come from that place of service, and you come from wanting to help others and make their world better,
Sure.
the blessings get showered on you, and you don't have to worry about it. We get taken care of.
Right.
So that's what I see. So you want to connect the world. So for the podcast, what's your reach? Like why the world?
So the world, because they think the world is in a lot of turmoil,
Yes.
and it has been for a long time.
And division.
Well,
Kind of
there's a lot of division.
really swinging
I
to
think
the
people are getting
polarities.
brainwashed by what they're hearing and what they're seeing, and they're not able to really think for themselves like we be. There was a time in this country and maybe even the world where media just did a job and told a story.
Yeah.
They didn't kind of give you their thoughts on what they thought you should think.
Yeah.
And when
Right.
somebody started telling me, and I started watching media change from the days of a guy like Walter Cronkite, who I thought was just amazing, and you never knew what party or what line or wherever he stood. He just did his job.
Yeah. Presenting the facts and putting a whole story out.
And people
That's
can
right.
make their own decision.
Yes, and they can talk about it and debate and whatever.
Right. But I mean, usually people would make their own decisions and they would respect each other's opinions.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody should be judged on what they believe. I think we all should find what we have in common and realize that we're all different and we all have to get along in this world. And so I decided to go back to those ways of Cronkite, which is to do storytelling and let people make their own decisions up.
Yeah, that's great.
So doing it through media, which was, of course, radio.
Yes.
And then I went to my boss and I said, look, why don't we do podcasts? He says, no, I'm a radio guy. I ran Disney, you know that. And he says, why don't you do it? And I'll support you, and you can use me as a reference, and you got my support. And we did it.
Great.
And
actually, when we did that, we got the support of some of the sponsors that we have, which is Attorney King. He was, he
was the first sponsor.
Yep. And
so
then,
Attorney King Studios, yeah, good.
And that's why we call it Attorney King Studios. It is IQ Podcast with an S, but it is, we did name it after him because he was initially the first person that jumped on bandwagon to help us.
He believed.
He believed in us. I was going to say, he
Yeah.
believed in you.
Yeah.
He liked your story.
And also Indian Motorcycle of San
Yes.
Diego, another Tim Broadhead. Oh my gosh, these guys are so I have to tell you.
Actually, I think he supported the radio station first and supported us to the radio station.
Right. Well,
And
let
then
me
King
show
came
you.
up.
So Brett last year in July, he says, Sarah, we're going to start a magazine. And I kind of looked at him like, what are you talking about? Start a magazine. We're doing podcasts. We're doing radio. And he says, no, we need a magazine. So I looked at him. I'm like, well, I don't know how to do a magazine.
But that magazine was not intended to be paper, because we've been told paper is on its way out.
Yeah.
And I said, we're doing digital. So we did the digital, came out great. And then a lot of these CEOs and all these people started saying, well, where's the hard copy? Where's the paper edition?
Yeah.
I says, well, we're not in the paper business. That's a losing venture. And they said, well, we'll give you the money to start the paper venture. So we decided to go into paper.
Attorney King was the first,
there he is.
on our cover, and then Indian, and then actually, and there he is
There's
also.
our beautiful and very intelligent district attorney, of course,
Yes.
Summer Steffens.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
That was that was top 20 people to watch for 2021.
Oh, love
The holiday
it.
issue.
This
Yeah.
is great.
Now, I didn't know you
So-
yet, so we couldn't put you in.
Oh,
I didn't know all the things you
Yeah.
had firing away at one time.
at one time, yeah, you never know what's
Right.
behind that
Right.
real estate license, do you?
So
Oh,
all
yeah,
these
this
people
is
are making huge
fantastic.
contributions.
And
to
of course,
the,
Brett's in there.
Yes, of course.
So it's a little verbose, but I put myself as a top 20 person to watch, only because
He did. It's right
I think that it causes conversation. There's going to be people who say, well, who does he think he is? But it's conversation
There he
either
is.
way. It's amazing
There he
what
is, right here.
Photoshop can do. I did that because I wanted to raise the bar for myself and to hold myself to be accountable, to really see if I can make a
Good.
difference.
I like that.
But I didn't do it so much for ego. There is a little ego involved with everything we do, but the real reason is I think to help people and to keep keeping myself challenged.
And to stretch yourself, yeah.
I have
Yeah.
to stretch. That was uncomfortable, by the way.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
everything I do in life is uncomfortable.
Yeah. That's how you stretch.
Everything's uncomfortable. I from the workouts to the day doesn't start. First it's prayer, then it's the workout. We pray together, by the way, as a family.
Yes.
And we do everything as a family together because we found that it makes our family a stronger unit.
Yes. I love it.
It really
Yeah,
does.
we don't know.
We don't always agree,
No,
Yeah.
you don't have
but
to.
we find a way. A lot of times she's right most of the time. We find a way to work through things, and it's like sculpting, like an artist. You sculpt till you finally get the finished product of what it is you're trying to get. So there's a lot of changes that happen during that process.
Well, I'll tell you this. When he says he's uncomfortable, when he gets so uncomfortable, he makes me uncomfortable. And he's like, okay, Sarah, you're learning from that. So,
Well, this is
It's,
good because it's a typical family business where your husband and wife are working
Yeah.
together. There can be a lot of challenges to that, and
It
spending
is.
a lot of time and different, and then the stress of life, and you're raising 3 girls, and oh my gosh.
well, it was tough, but, we're so used to being together and working together, where during COVID last year, a few of our friends split up, which is unfortunate.
A lot of
and-
people split up.
Yeah.
And a lot of relationships, ended, and we were looking at each other like, oh gosh, okay, this is a time where we really need
Wow.
to,
together.
come together and really work harder together. And so, and we did, and we had no problems. But I mean, we argue, of course. Everybody's, husband
Well,
and wives are
arguing
going
can
to
be
argue.
healthy. You're airing and getting ideas out
Yeah.
and expanding each other.
Right. So I always just tell them, I'm not a yes girl.
No.
You remember that movie, The Yes Man?
Yes.
Good movie.
I'm not the yes girl.
It's so funny, but I'm not a yes girl.
So how do people, these magazines, is it kind of like in lobbies and coffee tables?
So no. Well, it's
digital.
It is digital. I think our main focus is digital because I love trees and I love to save the planet as much as I can. And I just love trees. I just do. I love looking at them. I love pine trees.
I've got to tell you a story about trees from afterwards.
So I'm a tree person. I'm not a tree hugger, but I'm a tree person. I do hug them occasionally, but I'm not a major tree hugger. But I would like to save as much paper as I can, and if we can find ways to make this more recycled stuff as we go along, that's probably going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, this is for people that maybe are in the issue and maybe want to purchase an issue.
Yeah.
Our main focus is digital.
Okay.
But we do have it.
How do people, do they subscribe to it digitally? How do they get it?
Well, they have to give us their email information so we can get them that, and then.
So we can put that up on the screen now, and
Sure.
you can see that you can contact them if you want to get a copy of the digital IQ podcast, and maybe look for your office or
Sure.
your
Go to
waiting room.
IQpodcast.com and then reach out to us. Yeah.
IQ
Let us
Podcast.
know what you want, what you need.
It's not going to be. It's going to be CoronadoView.com, or it's going to be.
But I will say, if, again, we honor heroes, everyday heroes. So if you know of anyone and you want to, nominate someone, please reach out to us. Let us know.
And what's the best way to reach you?
You can actually, again, IQpodcast.com, or you can actually email Brett directly, BrettDavis2020
Thanks,
at
Sarah.
Yahoo.
I appreciate that. So
Yeah, it's easy. BrettDavis2020 at Yahoo.
We'll put that up on the,
Yeah.
you'll get all that up on the screen.
And please,
For everyday heroes, nominate someone or a group, like teachers or the certain
Absolutely.
medical center or a certain
Right.
business,
yeah, no, I mean we're going to be doing more of that, and this guy, keep an eye out for him. That's Nikki Rotten. That's
Tim Aaron.
Tim Aaron, who just opened back up over on the corner here on Orange. And he's got a wonderful place and a big heart, and we're going to be partnering up with him to do some new things that we haven't talked about
Yeah,
yet.
we haven't talked about it, but it's
Some
great.
secret-
I've got so many things.
secret
I'm
really
going to
cool
have to
things.
come back and interview you. You're working on a documentary that we need to talk about too. Lots of things are happening.
Well, and here's the thing too. IQ Podcast. When you see, I'm really about symbols. I mean, when you think about Beyond the Bridge and what we talked about, what our paper really is about. It's not just about the community in Coronado, it's about Beyond the Bridge and bringing stories here and bringing stories from here to people to educate and let them understand what the island's about and just to keep things fresh and circulating. But the world, to me, is a team. It signifies a team, and if you're going to build something that really is giving back and helping people, you have to have a team of good people to do that. You can't do it by yourself. So we're not by any ways looking at doing this by ourselves. We want to do this with a good team and hopefully with the world.
Yeah.
With you.
It sounds good. Yes.
There's something you two know that you're not telling me?
No. Well, we're going to go have dinner. We might go have one of those great burgers for dinner tonight.
Yes, let's go over there.
Nikki Rods is really good.
IQ Podcast. You keep your eyes open for IQ Podcasts and the world. Listen to Brett on, again,
KCBQ, The Answer San Diego, which is AM 1170 if you're going to be listening in Coronado.
AM 1170,
11
Saturday
p.m.
night.
And there was one thing we didn't say. I'm going to call this today, okay? So I'm really I'm stretching myself to feel uncomfortable.
Great.
IQ Podcast, it will be bigger than CNN and Fox TV.
That's the vision I wanted to hear you say, because he whispered that to me before the interview. I said, what's your vision?
That's the
And I
vision.
thought, wow.
But it's not my vision, and I'm going to be doing it with guns, so.
Yeah, good. Right here in Coronado, you heard it first. IP Podcast. IQ.
IQ.
You have to go pee.
I must. I don't know. Thank you, too. You're lovely. And we have to promise me you'll be on again.
I don't want anybody to get bored.
No.
This might be good material if you can't sleep at night.
Right.
Well, Brett and Sarah, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody. We'll see you around next time. Bye.
Bye. God bless.